Swallowed by Hell's very exciting. The third release, February 9th. Very, very exciting. What made you guys want to put out a third studio album after all these years?
It just kind of came together where the pieces fell into place so many years later. I think it's always kind of been in the back of our minds that it was something given the opportunity that we would pursue. And we have 3 out of the 5, Spectrum of Death pieces, original kind of members that are in place. A bass player that's been with the band for quite a few years. Probably his tenure is as long as all the other bass players combined together. So, he's a solid staple that is a great part of the mix, and our new drummer DJ. And it was um the time was just right. We could all kind of get together. We were, back in Sheboygan. We're all from Sheboygan, so it's not like we're doing a lot of remote recording or anything. We can all, come down to the practice room and have a good time with it. And um, it just felt like the time was right to do it.
Cool. Now I'm curious, what was the chemistry like between members when writing this record? Like, what was that writing process like?
Uh, we did a little bit different than obviously what we kind of utilized the technology that's available to us. So there was a lot of we started right when we got the band back together. We started a WhatsApp group, and with just the band, and so we did a lot of people record parts and sending a lot of stuff back and forth. So we had a lot of material prep when it came time to practice, and that helped a lot. Otherwise, because we practice once a week, so but because you can be doing things every other day of the week and get them to everybody, that helped a lot. And like you said, the chemistry wise, uh I'm everything.
Yeah, kind
it,
of
it
almost like old days in some respects, where you just kind of picked up where you left off 25 years ago, and it's kind of
yeah,
bizarre, and
yeah,
everybody just same old bad jokes, and it's the kind of cool, kind of a
yeah,
cool
it
atmosphere.
it flowed
Yeah,
it flowed very well.
really awesome to hear. And I feel like so many thrash bands are making their second and third album right now because of technology and how easy it is. It's crazy.
Yeah,
There's bands that I know members that are in all different countries, yet they're able to make their second release, because of, things like WhatsApp and stuff. And it's so easy to just send a Google Drive link to like a multi-track or something. Where before it was like, you're lucky to get like 5 days of studio time, and you're all
right.
crammed in. Now it's so much more relaxed, which must really, compared to like the first record, must be so much nicer, because it's such a nice, more relaxed thing where you can enjoy making music instead of more of this crunch, I feel. Now,
Right.
Swallowed by Hell is very exciting. The third studio album, it's like an album a decade almost. Or I guess 4 decades now. Um, how does
Yeah.
this record stand out to the previous two?
I I'll let Pat give you his answer. I got mine, but
Okay, well, I mean, it's been so many years later that uh, as much as things change, some things stay the same as far as how I feel about it. I mean, so it's different in the aspect of like maybe the production, the technology, some of that stuff. But to me, the riffs, the double bass, the speed, the tempo, the structuring of the songs, it's all it's all Morbid Saint, It's all kind of what it was. It's building off what the nucleus was, and just a natural progression as far as I see it.
Yeah.
yeah, and I for me, the new album, it's nice for us to finally have an album that we have a lot of say so in. But all every aspect of this is up to us, nobody else. And we finally have an album in my mind that it sounds good. Or I'm proud of the way this album sounds. Spectrum, that album, a lot of people like that album. And we like the album. I don't like how it sounds. you know, the production of it, that was not done intentionally. Same with Destruction System, which realistically that album was never, we never actually went in
Yeah,
and finished
that
that
was
album.
never even officially like mastered or done or
Yeah.
anything. It was just kind of pieced together because we wanted to. I mean, just having it sit in a closet didn't do anybody any good. So let's
Wow.
just clean it up the best we can
Yeah.
and get it out there. So that's
Yeah.
completely kind of a unfinished work that we just said, all right, it's finished.
Yeah. Whereas this one now, this is a finished album. We're happy with the sound. Happy with the
Yeah,
songs.
yeah, we've had the luxury of, studio, uh, all the technology we had, the studio, the people that we've worked with Chris DeJerk, and there was no constraints of like, all right, you got this weekend to do it. These are your studio times, get it done.
Right.
So it wasn't that kind of pressure, and it was like we were kind of like the masters of our own, destiny in a lot of regards, like Jim was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, really exciting to hear. And you're working with High Roller Records, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
With this release, how's it like working with that label?
The High Rollers, we got hooked up with them through when we were with Century Media. And we didn't necessarily sign a record deal with High Rollers right now. We have a distribution deal with them. So we wanted to retain all rights to our music. So we just signed distribution with them. But High Rollers is great. They've been great to us. Um, can't complain. You know, we haven't had, you know, offers to sign with anybody, and we don't know if we would even do that anyway. So High Rollers has been great.
Yeah, I think in our instance here that a lot of record labels would be looking for you to promote yourself, obviously, and do things, to help the label promote you, promote the label, go on tours, do this and that. Whereas we're not really in a position where we're going to take 3 months off to go on a tour or do this. We're going to be probably doing one-off shows, doing weekends, maybe a weekend to weekend, playing festivals. We all got our jobs, and it just works with us. This kind of deal and how this arrangement is kind of set up is really ideal for us, and which makes it kind of unique to the circumstance, I guess.
Yeah. Could you ever see you guys going on tour any point in the future? Or like you're saying, do you just kind of want to stick with one-off shows and festivals?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
like what we've done, like we did in the past years ago when I was with the lineup, we did Keep It True and a European festival, and it was bookend by another festival. So one we got there one in weekend, did the festival, did like club shows during the week, bookended with another festival, and that was kind of the 6 day shows, 6 days of shows, and so maybe something like that. But yeah, nothing like even probably like we'll get on the Midwest leg of touring with whatever big band. We probably wouldn't, but I mean, never say never, but it's not probably not what's looking like. It's really going to be part of the repertoire.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have already put your dues in for like everyone living in a van, going across whatever. Sounds
Yeah.
like hell.
Well,
um,
we've had some RV experiences and some nightmare experiences, and we're gonna do our best to make sure that we're at least traveling in some secured and reliable vehicles, and having a little bit of comfort at least, and not eating stale hot pockets every day.
totally, totally. Yeah, you guys deserve it. Now, uh, fairly new lineup here. Very, very exciting. I'd love to know what the recruiting process was like for new members.
Well, we didn't. Jay Jay kind of had kept the band going over the last, what, 15 years or
Yeah,
something like that. So it was
I mean,
going, and Pat was in there. At certain times, like Pat said before, Bob, our current bass player, Bob, he was with Jay almost the entire time,
since
playing in Morbid
2010,
Saint.
since like
Since 10,
2010, I think
he's
was
been
about.
in Morbid Saint.
Yeah, and
So
the band I think since 2010 when Jay brought it back, and I was back for about 6 years at that point. Um, has been active since that date, since
right
2010.
up, yeah, up till about 3 years ago, right before um I wasn't in the band for that entire time, and then the band, certain circumstances, members
Yeah, they're
went their own way and stuff,
singer
and
and drummer and guitar players. Oh,
yeah,
they kind of
it just kind of
fizzled for whatever
yeah,
reason. Like Jim said, neither of us were in the band at that
right.
time.
So Jay basically at that time contacted Pat and myself, and we were up for doing it. He had Bob and DJ. DJ was the last drummer that was in Morbid before it
Yeah.
disbanded for a short time before us. So he brought DJ back. So we didn't really
You have to recruit anybody.
we didn't have to
They
recruit.
were all kind of pieces that were floating around on the chessboard, to speak, already.
Yep.
Wow. So it really just worked out in the
Yep.
end.
Yep.
Wow. Cool. And you wouldn't think, from how the history of this band, started so many, almost like 4 decades ago. And it's really cool to hear how naturally everything kind of just fell back into place. Now, looking at this newest record, how much do you feel the band's creative process has changed throughout all these years?
Want to take that one?
Well, I mean,
Flip a coin.
we both probably got different opinions on it. I think it's the the time has obviously changes you as a musician. You learn different things. I play a lot different now than I did in the past. Pat's obviously older. He's going to sing different. We're all older. Things are going to change. This for me, the creation of these songs was a lot different. Just in my mind, I think there was a lot more. There was a lot more thought into the structure of the songs. We really paid more attention instead of, I mean, back Spectrum was pretty much, I mean, I don't even remember, those songs were written over, a span of time. And that was, you're a young kid and you just want to go and go and go and play as fast. And so now for me, it was just, I think the songs were thought out real well. To not just be a mundane, just let's play this riff for so many times, and I think the structure is really good. So that's different.
And really
Interesting.
the process more specifically within the song comes with vocals, or not vocals, but lyrics written, and then the guitar riffs being kind of worked in with those lyrics to some degree, and so the phrasing kind of comes out of like just lyrics, just could be like
Wow.
whatever you write down. And then as Jim and Jay and they look at that as a guitar player, they will write kind of to almost make the phrasing of the lyrics as they write the riffs.
Wow.
So that's kind of how the real nucleus of the song begins in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Huh. Now, I want to bring it back to Destruction System 2015. You were saying how this was kind of like unfinished. So what led up to like the decision making of let's make more songs after Spectrum?
Well,
Are you
I'm
talking?
not sure. That was a long time ago. Because we did this band for a little bit. I know I moved up to Minneapolis for a couple of years, and I got a call that said, "Yeah, we want to do another album. You want to come back down from Minneapolis?" And we had, it was basically all the same people from Spectrum except a different bass player. Tony was out at that time, and
Yep.
we had
Gary
Beimel, who was in, and it was, I'm not sure what actually sparked that, because I was in Minneapolis at the time the call just came in, so I'm not sure, Jim, if you remember what.
Well, I'm trying to think, because we recorded the black tape. If you're familiar with the black tape, that's obviously 4 songs. You're trying to signal to get another drink, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. My wife's here not looking.
Yeah, don't sweat it.
He's
It's all
like-
right. It's all right.
I thought she's
No, sure, I'll take one too.
Yeah.
So the black tape is 4 songs off of Destruction System, and and when we released that on that demo, it's 4 songs on both sides. So now, did we record those 4 songs and the black tape before you left? Because there was a big gap till we actually finished it, I think.
I don't think so. But
No?
then again, memory is not my strong suit at this point.
This
I mean, it
happened-
is. Is that your recollection? 'Cause
I
that
know
could
it's
be-
not mine at all. I'm
No.
not.
Weird.
I don't know. And this is a problem we have. Thank you. this is a problem we have when we do interviews that people ask us, and realistically, when that was a
Yeah, it seems like forever ago.
it was a
But and
long
it's
time ago. We drank a lot,
The
partied
black tape,
all the
what
time.
year was that? That was 93.
so 93.
The only way I would know is if I go get my copy and look on the back of it. Is that what you got?
Because
Is that what you got?
Yeah,
93?
yeah.
Because
93 it says. Yeah.
that might have been recorded before we went into
Or the
to
full album.
to Opus or Wave Digital at that time. We went into the our original Spectrum of Death was recorded at Opus Studios in Gurnee, Illinois, on all like analog equipment. They revamped that studio to Wave Digital. So when we went back to do Destruction System, it was the same studio, but it was called Wave Digital, and it was all done on digital,
Wow.
But the
equipment and boards.
the
and
black tape
whatnot.
was recorded in
Well,
somebody's
it was-
basement.
Yeah,
Remember?
and that it was in Jay's basement. I think we recorded at Jay's house.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and he
thought
was-
no. We actually had. See, we're gonna argue with that. No, we had
Oh no.
Remember, we
not with
actually
Eric when we
actually
went
had
to the
Eric.
church guy.
Yes.
With the church guy. No, that's the one he slowed down. He slowed everything down.
Isn't that the black tape?
I don't think so.
I thought we didn't like it slowed down, so we sped
Well,
it back. Well, because
well,
Eric was
I think some of the
dealing
songs.
with death, so I think he wanted to slow us down to give us more of a death metal sound. I think I don't
Interesting.
I don't really remember,
Yeah.
but
Let's-
it's a lot of weird.
It's a little fuzzy.
Yeah. Well, let's try.
But it
that's
was
my
right around
job
that
to
time,
clear up some of
93,
it.
94.
Okay.
Pardon?
All right. Do you still have that cassette of the black tape? Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, you want to see it?
Do you like you have it right now?
Yeah, it's like right over there.
Yeah. Can you?
I'll be right back.
And another really sought after cassette tape was the original 200 Lock Up Your Children. Lock Up Your Children
Oh.
is exactly what Spectrum of Death was. It's the exact same recording, except it was a demo tape. Nothing changed between that and the official release, really. But that demo tape, we actually had, I think, 200 copies made, and like 50 of them were like hand drawn in with like green and red on the little devil's face. So there's like about 50 copies in it of it that Lock Up Your Children that is colored in by us, so that we sat down one afternoon and started coloring them in, and we probably just got sick of it after.
Yeah.
That's a hand. That's one of the hand.
Oh, that's
colored ones.
awesome.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
That's one. That's that one, and then here is the
black tape with
That's
two side ones.
fucking awesome.
and in the back is that the right side up. I don't know if you can. Yeah, it's got the same songs on both sides because we were so lame we couldn't write 4 more at the time. I don't know.
Well, what's that clock in as? It's not too short. It's like a 30-minute record.
Songs are
the whole thing.
Yeah. Lock Up Your Children, right?
Are all the
how long is that?
All the black tape. 33 minutes on Lock Up Your Children, I think.
Yeah, okay.
The Lock Up Your Children cassette is basically Spectrum of Death.
Yeah.
It's all the same songs. It's just not the same recording, but
it's the same recording.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Done at Opus Studios.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, we didn't record it. We didn't record it twice.
Are you sure?
Absolutely sure.
All right.
Wow.
I learned something today. Maybe it was.
That I collect tapes. That's so cool, man.
Do you have these?
No. I'm 25. I wasn't even alive.
It was done over 2 weekends.
not many people do.
I wasn't even a thought yet.
You were, yeah. I wasn't even alive. We do have Destruction coming out on cassette. From High Rollers. They're just waiting on them. I think they arrived already. I think they haven't shipped any of them out.
Is that announced?
I don't think so yet. I think I just spoke with them.
The scoop.
I spoke with them last week, and I believe they have arrived, but they haven't announced that yet. I don't believe, but they are. We've been waiting on them because they released the Destruction System album with a different cover. I'm sure if you've seen that.
Yeah.
So it's that
and Spectrum
on
Spectrum.
And Spectrum, they did already release that on cassette. Okay. We got some of them.
So they're basically set up to do all back catalog, all formats,
Yes, and the
Really,
the
everything.
new album is coming out on cassette also.
I saw that.
which
Very,
I'm
very
crazy about.
exciting. I feel like thrash metal is associated so much with tape and cassettes, so it fits so well.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Yeah, I collect a few, and it's like if I ever found that shit at like a record store, man, that's like a grail. I don't think a lot of
The
people
old
must
bargain
have
bin.
those. Yeah,
They're
dollar bin.
well, unfortunately, we have a fan of ours over in where's he in Taiwan?
Taiwan, I believe. Yeah,
Taiwan, Vader
Vader
Lane.
Lynn.
He
He's got more
collects.
than we stuff.
Yeah,
He's got more than we got. We
he's
can
got
come
more
Oh,
by.
Morbid
really?
Saint stuff than we got. But he actually has he doesn't have he's got a copy of the black tape that I actually made for him. But
He doesn't have the Holy Grail.
yeah, he's got one of these.
Oh, he does?
Yeah,
You got one?
he paid $600 for it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's
Jesus
crazy.
Christ.
That's just crazy. I feel bad that he did that, but
Yeah. Well, hey,
But he
it
wasn't
is a
getting mine.
collector's item.
I wouldn't have sold him mine.
Yeah. Now, you were signed for Weird Face Productions for Destruction System. Do you remember how you got signed to that label, or is that fuzz?
That is something Jay had gotten arranged. It was a guy he was in contact with from Greece. So it's a Greek label.
Oh,
I believe.
that's the one that had
Weird Face.
the good album covered, or
Yeah.
with the guy sitting in the chair, and it had a picture this made, I think, too.
Yeah, yeah. They had a whole box
Yeah.
set like that was made
Yeah.
and came out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that guy
he did a really good
that guy
job.
did a
And he
great
was
job.
he actually played a show out in Greece during that one. I believe it was that the Keep It True trip when we went out to Europe, and we played in Athens, I believe it was. And he very professional. He did a great job on it, I think. And yeah, Jay kind of got that put all together. Not sure how that relationship started with him, but yeah, he's a solid dude and was a really cool guy too.
Nice. Now I'm curious, what was the difference in budget from Spectrum to Destruction System?
I'm not even sure budget wise what because we had
No idea.
how were we Spectrum was funded kind of by Jay's parents, I think, that
Oh,
put up some
wow.
money for it. Was that, or I'm not sure, I could be wrong. Is that because we had to pay, or maybe that was the sound system because we had to pay back money for the sound system.
I don't
Um,
remember.
but basically Spectrum of Death was recorded over the course of like 2 weekends. So probably
Yeah, it was like 4 days,
yeah,
around 4 days to record that entire
4 days, maybe 10 hours a day, so maybe 40 hours.
Yeah,
Wow.
Spectrum of Death was recorded in.
to record that
And
one.
and I believe Destruction System was recorded pretty. I mean, it wasn't finished. I mean, we never got to the mastering, so we probably got about maybe 40 hours in on that too.
Yes, but it
But it was
didn't
two
complete.
weekends, but it wasn't even, you know,
The-
it wasn't even close to being like mixed
Destruction
and mastered.
Jesus.
Destruction would have had a higher, I guess, budget had we been able to finish it.
Yeah. Wow. Now in terms of the songwriting, and this is might as well just be the Lock Up Your Children demo. How long did it take to like write all those songs? Was it like years? Was it just a year?
No, it was over a period of time because we weren't striving to write an album. It was just a natural progression from being in a band that was basically a cover band playing Slayer, Creator, Whiplash, Exodus, all that stuff. And then you just slowly, I'm sure everybody does that. You write your own songs here and there, you slip one in. So over a period of time, we had maybe like 3 or 4 songs written over the first couple years of the band. And then the last songs were written probably over the last year before we went and recorded it.
Wow.
I guess. So, like I said, we weren't recording, or we weren't writing with the intentions of recording. We were just writing.
Yeah.
There was,
Interesting. Okay. So I've heard a lot of people call Spectrum proto death metal. Do you agree with that?
Sure.
There we go.
I
don't.
I can see it.
I always hear
Or hear it,
him
I
say
guess.
death thrash. I hear that a lot. Death thrash.
Yeah.
I always thought it was thrash
I don't
metal.
know what really sets the the tone for it being like proto death metal? Would it be the vocals, or the the guitaring, the riffs, the leads, the bass lines, the drumming, or the kind of weird, because Lee had his own kind of thing going on with drumming where it was a little more technical than just straight double bass. So but I could see that. I mean, a lot of times, like, you look at Possessed. I mean, death
Yeah.
metal, thrash metal. I mean, the beginning of Death, and Death took on, I think, death metal after or Venom. Oh, Venom, isn't it? That's
I don't
that
Proto
know.
was the
black
name of the
metal, I guess. Right.
That's what
black
I was
metal,
going to say. Yeah, I
death
would call
metal,
that
or black metal. Oh, black metal, death metal. See, I'm not really into genres. I mean, I don't really. I don't know. That's why I just agree. I say, yeah, it could be prototypical. I mean, it's whatever. It's however it fits in your psyche. That's however you want to label it. I mean, you put a label on something, put a label on it. But if
there's almost too many genres of metal now.
I know.
It's just, I mean, when we were back in '89, there was thrash metal, death metal, heavy metal.
well, they didn't even know how to book some shows with it. We'd be playing with these hardcore punk bands, and it was
Yeah.
it was like crazy. Like the mid late '80s, it's like it was a mishmash, and everybody was just kind of figuring out what this extreme shit was all about.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was everybody, I guess, found their own lane and started naming their lane. So I don't know.
Yeah.
As long as
Yeah.
it's good stuff, and you like cranking in your headphones, just listen to it. I mean, do we really gotta, you
It's all
know?
that really matters, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't honestly think we set out to sound just, say we're gonna be thrash.
Yeah.
We just our sound is a culmination of
Some of the
our
parts of it we were
influences.
listening to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what's your influence, what you listen to that you just tend to, I mean, that's where it comes from, I guess. Never really
Yeah.
tried to sound like Slayer or Metallica, or we never. It is what it is.
Yeah. You guys were talking about like Creator 2, Slayer. Were those like the first thrash bands you guys got into? Like what was your exposure to the genre?
I would have to say.
Yeah, I
So
would say, yeah, Creator,
Slayer,
Slayer were probably the first like real extreme stuff I got listening to. I mean, other than
Metallica, even.
I'm kind of taking Metallica out of that equation. Metallica was probably the first, besides no, I mean, stuff like Iron Maiden, and old
That's what
Black
was.
Sabbath. I mean, it's hard to
Like
tell where
British New
extreme
Wave.
started. To me, like
Yeah.
Black. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. Like a lot of I feel like that's where thrash kind of came from, like Jaguar, Diamond Head, shit like that.
It,
You
it
know.
had to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. Now I'm just curious about this. So just the the first record, you guys have that zombie as the cover, the Morbid Saint zombie. How do you look back at that cover?
these grandma.
Yeah. Do you not look at it fondly? You're not a fan?
No, I think even in the same way.
Remember that story, going down to check out the.
Yeah.
I'll tell them that.
Well, go ahead if you remember it more than I do, but I
What?
know we thought the same thing when we seen it.
We were gonna pick out. We had an artist that was connected with Edge Records, with Eric Rives, kind of guy artist, that said, yeah, he's got all kinds of artwork that we can pick his album cover. So we went down there and looked through some stuff, and it was apparently crunch time. We had to pick something.
Yeah.
And the price was right, and it was his guy, and it's like, well, it was like, we got to take this one, I guess. And it's like, what does it look kind of like Eddie? We're not gonna get sued. So we picked it. We picked the Grandma Eddie, and that's how it was. And it was John from Edge Entertainment
Yes.
who did the artwork on that, and it just kind of got to do what it was. We make some of those lists like with Riot and stuff for the most lamest covers. where you got the seal.
I
Remember
yeah,
seeing
we
a
get
riot where they got the
well,
seal, then you got Eddie's
yeah.
Gamma, and then you got some of these other
Well, and
album covers.
my
We
take
made fun
Riot's
on
of
way
the
worse,
worst.
though. Riot's way
yeah,
worse. The Seal
my
sumo wrestler.
Yeah,
the seal, yeah. My take on it is kind of how I'm not happy with the sound of Spectrum, but I think that that is just another thing between that the cover artwork, the picture on the back is horrendous. Yeah, it's just
Oh, yeah, we got
our band
got
photo
shirt.
on there is just was taken when
We don't even have the right bass player on the back
yeah,
of the
it's not
album
even
cover.
it's the
We've
whole
got
thing is
Tony
bad.
Paletti which should be in that picture on the back cover.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of things messed up about that album,
but I think
but
that's
there's
what
a lot of
makes it
things.
what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it's what
You
I was
know,
gonna
I
say.
think that's
There's a
what
lot of
makes it what it is. I don't.
it's yeah.
So it is
There's
what it is. And do we do realize that the picture looks like Eddie from Iron Maiden? You know, I mean, if people think we don't, I mean, you know, we do realize that. But Pat kind of explained it. That it is what it is, and that's we
yeah,
did what we
it's
had to do at the time, and but I think it's just still part of the weird whole spectrum of death. You know, I mean, we don't, for people, I guess your age or even younger that like the album, when we released Spectrum of Death, we could barely give that album away. You know, people like it now, or there's a following that people think it's a great album and stuff,
Totally,
and
yeah.
which we appreciate. And I think it's a good album, but at the time, no, it wasn't received that way. You know, it was so it took 30 years for it to mature to the point
yeah,
that people like it, I guess. And
It's a cult classic. It really is.
I,
yeah.
apparently,
I remember one of the first big shows that we played was Lucky Metal Fest, which is revived now by Jamie Jasta, and we just got to play there again this last year. But that was one of the first big shows, Metal
yeah,
Fest 3, which was probably, I don't know, 91 maybe. I'm not even sure.
it's on
Uh,
YouTube.
But people were doing like a interview with us, and in the interview, my vocals were described as like the singer sounded like a yeast infection.
What the fuck?
But and it was
You serious?
but then people
Yeah.
people go like they just love that voice. It's like, and then as my voice has changed through the years, because it was just I really didn't have any technique to my voice. It was just bloody it up and just fucking and there was really nothing to it. And what people hate now people love. I go, I wish you could do it. It's like, well, I wish you would have loved it back when I was doing it.
I didn't even go through puberty yet, you know? How old were you during that?
I was 19.
Jesus. Wow. Yeah, and it's so funny. People are like, hey, can you
19,
sound like
19
that?
I think I was 19 when I first got in. Yeah.
Not even 20. Jesus Christ. Now, it came out like early 90s. Now, I assume like the initial first hiatus was just because the shift of the popularity of thrash metal at the time. Thankfully, we're at a place now where, it's got a new life. We're in like the fourth wave of it now. And there's definitely a lot of love. But back then, the tides definitely turned. How do you recall the first initial hiatus?
I think I'm assuming you're talking around like when grunge kind of came around.
Yeah, after
that time.
Spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah. Between
yeah,
that and
Yeah.
Destruction.
Well, because
Yeah.
after Spectrum, when I like moved up to Minneapolis and stuff, it was like 4 or 5 years,
there was quite a bit of time where actually
right?
Jay and Lee, is that when they had that other band?
I believe so.
They
Yeah,
had, they actually had a band called Intrepid Descent, which oddly enough, the other, what was Chris doing in there? Was he singing and playing guitar? I
I
think
believe he was playing guitar, definitely. I'm
Chris
not sure if he
Jurek,
was
and
singing.
he's actually the guy who just recorded. He did a recording on the new album. He was actually
Yeah,
in the band with Jay and Lee
he owns
Oh, wow.
a studio, Bell
Yeah,
Sound
yeah,
Studios.
he has a
So he
studio
actually
now.
we worked with him on this new release.
Yeah. So he was in there. So they had another band going. It was just, I wasn't playing at all at the time. When that, like
But
you said,
but you could tell that the scene was changing, and
right, yeah, it
and
was,
the kind of support and enthusiasm for that kind of thrash metal was waning.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It,
Yeah.
and like you said, now you can definitely see it now where I think I maybe I look at it different, but I see a lot of people online talking about a lot of the older bands coming out, not, like we are, the older thrash bands, and now they're coming and they're releasing an album, or maybe they're not even releasing an album, but they're just coming back now, and you're starting to see them on that. And I think a lot of people think they're doing it just as a cash grab or whatever. Um, but I don't see it that way. I think you're gonna have new thrash bands, but I don't think they're gonna replace the old thrash bands. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, you guys also aren't Journey. You know what I mean? It's not like you're doing a million dates to these like giant arenas, you know.
Right.
I feel like a lot of it, and all the fans know it's definitely for the music. And you guys have like a whole new wave of fans that have like I've never
Right.
seen you guys live, you know.
No,
And Spectrum came out. I wasn't even alive when the first record was released.
that's great. That's awesome.
So it's like, and
Well,
it's cool, and I think it's because of streaming. You know, I've said it before, but
yeah,
it's like that's how I got into you guys, because it's like you just kind of go down a rabbit hole. No more are the days of going to the record store. Oh, they have this. This is a cool cover. I'll take that home. Now it's like a rabbit hole, and you go down this and you get into all these bands. It's awesome.
Back in the days, that's what it was. A lot of like tape trading between bands and stuff. We would get letters from all over the countries, a bunch of fucking stamps on shit posting, and it's just trading within it. With everything at your fingertips now, the discovery of new music is almost taken for granted. It's just so easy to find and so easy to discard or disregard something too, where you don't, sometimes for me, there wasn't a lot of times where things were instant classics. It had to, I had to get into the groove. I had to play it sometimes. You couldn't just, you know, eh, skip over it. Give it a 30-second listen. It's the YouTube, and then boom, boom, boom to the next one. You gave it time. You let it kind of,
had to grow on you.
Yeah, you're right. It's a kind of the world of singles now, unfortunately.
yeah.
Where I kind of that's why like I'm into a lot of like vinyl physical media, because it forces you to sit down and listen to the record as an experience, as a single thing, instead of, skip that. I'll listen to 30 seconds of this. I'll listen to most of this song.
And to
Right.
that,
Oh, yeah.
that's really where the music experience comes in as a listener. I think is if you devote some time to it, and you give something its just due. Maybe at the end of the day, you end up not liking it, but you sat with it. You went through the process instead of just jumping around, and I mean,
Yeah,
not
Too.
I don't know.
Well,
that's what it's about,
and
man.
the nice thing with the Spotify's and stuff like that, you got, we're gonna we pick up new listeners every day based on just them letting Spotify suggest things for them. You know, the algorithm sees that you're listening to this, and this, so maybe you might like this, and I think that's awesome because a lot of people, you can see it in the analytics that I look at for just Spotify alone, and the amount of listeners that we gain every day, um, and it lets you know where they come from, and it's all based on just stuff that's suggested for them. So I think that's great. I do agree with like Pat. I mean,
That's
the days of going to the store and picking up a CD or a cassette or an album, whatever, and bringing it home and you know crank the shit out of it. I mean, that's you went and purchased that album, so you weren't just gonna skip over songs and be like, oh, on to the next, like you can now. I think that's what you were saying.
yeah, it is.
Now you can just listen to
I
anything you
feel very
want, and
spoiled now. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It
But
is.
with every great technology, you lose something, but there's always the great positives to the technology. Obviously,
Yeah.
technology is grasped and utilized for a reason because it's an improvement. But sometimes you lose something of the natural organic kind of process how it was in the old days. And maybe I'm just sounding like the old guy yelling at the kids to get off my lawn, but I there's something about just how things used to be that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. I agree. And even though like I wasn't really around for that age of music, I still enjoy putting the record on and hearing the record as a full experience instead of that, you know, I can skip through 30 seconds, go back a song or whatnot. And you can still kind of do that, but it's more of a really nice experience. And that's why I'm very excited to get this new album on vinyl. Very exciting. It's out in February. As we wrap up here, what's the best way for fans to stay updated with everything Morbid Saint?
Well, we do have a Morbid Saint, morbidsaint.com. Our website has pretty much any new merch. The new album, you can order it on there. You can pre-order it right now. Um, we're selling on the website only for US orders. We're leaving all the international stuff to high rollers. So you can pre-order it from them. Our Facebook page, Morbid Saint Official. I think we're on Instagram. We got somebody who takes care of Instagram.
YouTube channels.
YouTube.
So, yeah,
we're putting stuff up. We're hoping that we're gonna release before the album drops. We're gonna release one more single. The last one we did was Bleed Them Dry. So we're gonna have one more single, and we're contemplating a video for that or what, which we got to figure that out fairly quick. But otherwise, yeah, Facebook, YouTube,
Cool.
our website.
Any of those main social medias, we got our IT guy on it.
We don't have we're all old.
That's Jim. All right.
No. We actually have a guy who helps the band out, and he takes care of.
Little man, little man too. He does a great job.
Some of that stuff.
Nice.
We're all old, you know. I mean, we understand the value of social media. We're just, we're old.
Yeah, I went to school for radio and learned how to do that. That's a big thing people need now, a social media guy. Yeah. You know, it's such a pain in the ass. Even for this podcast, it's such a pain. I hate it, but you got to do it. You know, it's just the world we live in now. Very exciting. Cannot wait for this new release. Guys, thank you so much for being on. Really enjoyed this.
Awesome.
Right. Thanks for having us.
Hell yeah. I'm Brandon Battick, and this is Disturbing the Priest.